Good morning, everybody. I hope you all are having an excellent weekend. I'm coming to you this Saturday morning to hopefully offer up a word of encouragement to us. I'm going to be coming from James chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. And it says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness." I was really lucky to get to talk to a lot of our students about this week, this Wednesday. And I don't really can't think of a whole lot of more relevant scriptures to our times than what James is saying here. I kind of want to take some words from Brandon and take some words from verse 1. See, James is talking to a dispersed church. He's talking to a church that is much like us right now, a church that can't meet together, a church that is kind of having to worship from a distance, worship from all over the place. They didn't really get to come and communicate and commune in one area, congregate, I guess you could say. But he was writing this to people who were much in our situation now. And what he says is, count all these things joy, because when we go through trials of various kinds, and I want to stop there for just a second. What are trials of various kinds? I think right now, we look at our lives and we can say, man, this quarantine is a big issue. But I think if we really pay attention to it, it's several different issues kind of congregated together and put together and mashed together. Some of us are bored. Some of us have financial issues right now. Some of us are worried for our family members, or maybe worried for our own health. So there's a lot of little bitty, or not little bitty trials, but there's a lot of smaller trials that are getting put all and mashed all together during this time, and they've come and kind of made themselves look really, really big in this idea of this shutdown or whatever we want to call it, this quarantine. But what James is saying is count all these things joy. And I really done a lot of research, a lot of praying and studying and commentary reading on what it means to count all these things joy. You see, to be happy, to be joyous, to be anything during a time of hardship and a time of trials is kind of counterproductive. It's not in us. It's not something that's not our first instinct to say, hey, my day is not good, I'm going to be happy. No, that's not really something that we can do out of our own means. It's not really something that we are kind of born doing. We have to really kind of change and pursue God to help us change that attitude. And it's really comes down to that. It's an attitude change that we step back from the momentary, we step back from the right now, and we look at the big picture, and we can see that, no, what God is really doing is He's given us an opportunity to grow. He's given us opportunity to be better. He's given us an opportunity to reach people that maybe we weren't able to reach before. And that's exactly what he says in James. It says that the testing of our faith produces perseverance. When we were talking with the youth the other night, it was all about maturity. As we grow through trials and as we go through issues in our lives that maybe are hard for us, that is an experienced thing. That when we look back on our lives in the future, or maybe when we look back and we're beginning to teach people about today, about what's going on in our lives, and how we can look back and say, you know what, at the time we were scared, at the time things didn't look like it was going our way, but really what God was doing was He was working and He was maturing us, and He was deepening our faith. He was making our faith a much deeper thing. Instead, it's not just a shallow thing. It's much rooted and much more experienced. And now it's much stronger than what it was before. You see, I don't think, and I said it last week, I don't think this is God testing us. I don't think this is God specifically like putting this on for the church. But I think there are secondary growths that happen here. And what that comes through is it comes to the testing of our faith if we count it all joy. These gains only happen if we count it joy. These gains only happen if we look to God and say, Lord, I don't know what you're doing, but I know that you're at work, even if I can't see you. I don't know where you're going. I don't know what direction you're taking us in, but I trust you anyways, and I'm going to be happy because I know I'm in your hands. So to say that, it's important for us not to get overly cynical, right? Like as I just said a couple seconds ago, we can look back and say, man, our day isn't going good, and we can be in a bad mood, and we can have a bad attitude, and our life can get even worse. So to be overly cynical is to cast out our joy. It's to cast out our perseverance. It's to get rid of those things and say it's just not worth it. So My challenge for us today is to look at our lives, look at the way we talk, look at the things we laugh at, look at the things, man, like there's a ton of memes out there right now that we can are kind of dark humored concerning the quarantine. So look at those things and say, actually, does my attitude reflect joy? Does my attitude reflect perseverance? Or am I just trying to wait for this thing to get over with? Guys, there are so many opportunities right now for us to spread joy and hope that we've never had before, right? People didn't always, sometimes I think we didn't always have to pay attention to hope and joy. Now it's at the forefront of our attitudes. Now it's like the biggest thing in our lives. And James is speaking specifically to a people that were just like us. They were dispersed. They were going through various trials. And he says, count it all joy because you're growing through this. You're maturing through this. Guys, I can't help but to think that God is really doing something right here. Nehemiah 8:10 says, for the joy of the Lord is my strength. Guys, stay joyous. Spread the joy. Spread the hope. Show people the attitude of Christ by just saying, hey, we trust God and we know that he's working and God is doing something here. We know it. So I love you guys. I hope this was an encouragement. I hope we can look back at this in maybe a couple weeks and say, you know what, God really was preparing us for something. I really believe that that's the direction we're going in. So stay safe, guys. Spread the joy, spread the hope. We love you, and we can't wait to see you soon. We really miss you guys. Have a great day, and catch you later. Bye-bye.